What if I told you that these animatronics were never meant to harm the children that they captured? Stick with me here, this might just change the way you view the Funtimes. Howdy folks, it's me Aaron. Have you, like me, found yourself trying desperately to piece together a timeline for the Funtime Animatronics and just can't quite figure it out? We of course know that Circus Baby kills Elizabeth. We also know that at some point down the line the children of the MCI are placed into Molten Freddy.
You have all been called here, into a labyrinth of sounds and smells, misdirection, and misfortune.
But also, we know that the crying child saw something that frightened him. We also know that, whether it's Mike or whether it's the crying child in FNAF 4, someone is seeing Nightmare Fredbear with a stomach mouth. Who came first, Elizabeth, Charlie, or the crying child? If the answer is Charlie, then we have a simple explanation. William already was murderous and had discovered Remnant, but then we have to ask another question, and that question is why? What motivation would he have to do this? If one of his own children had died first, then perhaps that would drive him to commit the first murder. If the answer is the crying child, then we have to question what is it that the crying child had seen to make him so terrified of Fredbears. And if the answer is Elizabeth, we have to then ask ourselves, why would killer animatronics like Circus Baby be built before Afton even knows about Remnant? I'm here to do my best to explain as much as I can. Starting with that first question, who says these robots were designed explicitly to kill? Imagine for a moment you're a single father. Imagine yourself struggling to keep your children all in one place. They run around everywhere, it's like trying to herd cats. I don't have children myself, but I live with 2 nieces and a nephew, and they are a handful for sure. Now imagine you're an up-and-coming robotics company, and imagine you run a child-friendly pizzeria. Imagine you need to find a way for unsupervised children to be safe at your establishment, but don't quite have the funds to hire security. This is my proposal for the existence of the Funtime Animatronics. Look at this. As you can see, Funtime Freddy's features are laid out right here in this blueprint. A. Proximity sensor grouping coordinates. This would be to keep children together as best as possible and to distinguish between different birthday groups. B. Parental tracking. This would allow Freddy to detect whether a child is left unsupervised or if they are in fact being watched by a chaperone of some kind. C. Voice mimic and luring. If a child's parent isn't present, Freddy will attempt to lure the child back to the group in an effort to keep the child safe. And D. Storage tank. If all else fails, Freddy will pick up the child in its stomach compartment, as gently as possible, and carry them manually back to the party. Most children would find this as a fun and exciting game. I know my niece would be thrilled to ride inside a big Freddy robot. She'd think that was the coolest thing in the world. And here, we see something similar with Foxy. A. Light activation sensor. As we all know, Foxy tends to be in his own private stage area, usually only active when the other animatronics are doing something else. When the stage curtain is pulled open, Foxy turns on, ready to entertain. B. Parental voice sync and replay. Imagine a parent tells the child to do or not to do something. Foxy can not only listen to those commands, but repeat the recording of them saying it, no different than an Alexa or Siri could. C. Variable scent release. This can have multiple purposes. It could be to lure children back, similarly to his Freddy counterpart, or it could be for storytelling purposes. Imagine Foxy says, "What's that smell?" and the strong scent of pizza fills the room. D. Remote floor anchor. We all know Foxy is a bit more energetic than his counterparts. Perhaps to compensate for the weight of his parts, he's anchored to the floor from time to time to allow more wild movement. Again, for storytelling purposes or performative reasons. Moving on to Ballora. A. Audio activation sensor. Similarly to Funtime Foxy, perhaps Ballora is performance specific. Imagine a darkened room with a mysterious and whimsical ballet dancer. She might be sound activated. B. Deter and misdirect. Remote activation. Once again, this could be used either to lure children back or to do interesting performative things, like she could throw her voice and appear elsewhere as a spectacle. But more than likely, given that it's remotely activated, it could be to deter children from getting too close to the performance area. C. Balance and stability. Reasonably for the type of movement she has, she would need a better balancing capability than the other animatronics. Although unlike Foxy, she wouldn't be able to be anchored to the floor due to the nature of her movement. D. Collision sensor. This would be to prevent colliding with walls or objects in the room. Of course, it would also be to detect if a child has gotten too close despite her warnings and stop before colliding with said child. And finally, Circus Baby. A. The air hose attachment. This would be a fun and exciting way to inflate balloons for guests. B. The internal ice cream dispenser. Once again, having your robot dispense ice cream for the guests is incredible. C. Song databank. This allows Baby to sing many different songs for parties. And D. Emergency stop. Just like Freddy, in this blueprint we can see that Baby has an internal cavity that can be used to recapture lost children. However, this cavity cannot be used while the ice cream dispenser is still inside. If this event were to occur and there was still time, the emergency stop could be activated, potentially saving the child's life. Most of these items could be explained away by naivety or strange design, but not necessarily malice. I mean, the designs were even looked at by other people.
There's no doubting what you've achieved on a technical level. These are clearly state-of-the-art. There are just certain design choices that were made for these robots that we don't fully understand. We were hoping that you could shed some light on those.
She can dance. She can sing. She's equipped with a built-in helium tank for inflating balloons right at her fingertips. She can take song requests. She can even dispense ice cream.
With all due respect, those aren't the design choices we were curious about, Mr. Afton.
Why would William show people blueprints that literally contain children shoved inside the animatronics, if not for a less than malicious reason? What's more likely is that either the animatronics malfunctioned, causing tragic accidents, or William poured his agony into the machines as he built them, causing them to malfunction in that way. Well, that's it. I hope you guys like my explanation of why the Funtimes could possibly have been as early in the timeline as some people put them. Looking back over the blueprints, I noticed that with a positive spin, the features listed could make sense, especially now that we have security breach and Gregory hopping in and out of Freddy like an anthropomorphic death taxi. Anyways, if you liked the video, subscribe, I suppose, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.